What are you going now for you gear jammers out there? Welcome back to another episode of Smooth Operator Trucking, where we create the dream 1 mile at a time. I'm your host, Smooth Operator, and today we're going to be talking about my best load at Mercer Transportation, and we're getting started right now. Alright, so before we get started, I just want to say thank you to all of my subscribers out there. Man, I'm a small channel, closing in on 3,000 subscribers, but I appreciate every subscriber that I have. I don't put out a lot of videos, but the information that I try to put out, I try to make sure that I'm being honest, transparent, and giving the big picture, not just the good stuff. And I think the people who subscribe to this channel really appreciate that. I had a guy come up to me a few weeks ago in Greenville, North Carolina, and he was like, "Man, I saw your truck pull in. I just had to come up to you and say something." And he was like, "I just want to say thank you for your videos. You're the reason why I'm here at Mercer, and everything that you said is true. And I just appreciate you being, honest about everything, and that's helped me a lot." And that just really did, it really touched my heart, and every once in a while I will run into people who recognize the truck, maybe recognize me. I mean, nothing fancy about the truck, but it says Smooth Operator on the side, and they'll come and let me know how much they appreciate, my videos. I was in Louisville at the headquarters, Mercer, last week, and I was working on the truck, and the guy was like, "Smooth!" And I was like, "What the heck?" I was like, "What the heck is that?" I was like, "Smooth!" I looked up, and I was like, there was a guy outside the gate. He's like, "Are you Smooth Operator, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I can't believe I'm actually meeting you in person." And I walked up to him, we talked for a little bit. He's like, "Man, I wish I had a pen, man. I had you sign my shirt." And I was like, I was kind of like, "Are you for real?" He's like, "Yeah, man, dude, I can't believe I'm sitting here and talking to you right now." And so I was like, "All right." So I went back to my truck and grabbed my permanent marker and signed the shirt, took a picture with him. And it was just the coolest thing. Like, it's like that someone, I guess thought that highly of me because of my videos or whatever, so that was pretty cool. And he was starting orientation the next day. He said that I was the reason why he was at Mercer also. Now let me get something straight. Like, I'm not recruiting for Mercer. I think Mercer's a good company. And like I said, I'm always honest about everything, the good and the bad and the ugly here at Mercer, whatever. I think they're a good company, but I'm not trying to recruit for Mercer, but hey, if your videos, if you watch the videos and you like what you hear and the ups and downs and the pros and cons, and you decide to come over here, so be it. That's awesome. But yeah, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm recruiting for Mercer. It's just, I'm just giving you the facts, of what I've experienced as I've been here. And the only other carrier I've been at as an operator was Landstar, and of course I was with FedEx Ground, as a driver. So, but yeah, so I just wanted to say I really appreciate that. But now let's get started. All right, so I want to talk about my best load since I've been at Mercer Transportation, and one of the reasons why I want to talk about this load is because it was a load going to Canada. I don't know how many Canada qualified drivers there are at Mercer, but you do have to have a passport, and then you have to go to Louisville and and talk to them. It's like 15-20 minutes. They give you all the paperwork and everything, and then you're Canada qualified. I almost don't want to say this because, like, the less people who are doing it, the more opportunities that there are for me. But I'm always trying to be open with you guys. So I highly encourage you to, if you have a passport, if you don't have a passport, go get one and make sure you get Canada qualified, because especially in this market right now, the profit margins are very thin. To be Canada qualified just gives you one more opportunity. And those have been my best loads so far since I've been at Mercer are the Canada loads. I got Canada qualified probably, I don't know, 6 months ago, but it wasn't until this year that I had the opportunity to do some Canada loads. And actually, from, let's see here, I did my first Canada load on February 21st, and the last one I did was on March 14th, and they were some really good paying loads. Let's see here, the one from, it's Berea, Kentucky to Chambly, Quebec. It was like 2 or 3 stops on that one. It was paying $42.67, 1,025 miles, $4.16, per mile, and that's after Mercer takes out their 25%. So I did really good on that one. And I think I was only on that one for like 3 days, or I think it ended up being like 5 days, but because I got held up at the border. But I could have did that load in 3 days. I mean, it was only 1,025 miles. The next one I did was Greenville, North Carolina to Chambly, Quebec again. Again, it was like 2 or 3 stops. That one was paying $5,037, $4.24 a mile. Miles was 1,188. So again, Canada load. Now, the best one that I've had and the best loads that I've had at Mercer, my best week at Mercer was probably like right around 7,900, just short of 8,000. I think that was sometime last year. It was either last year or the year before last, but that was 2 loads that I put together. Got, really lucky on that one. But this was my best, like just one load. It was from Greenville, North Carolina to Chambly, Quebec. It was from Berea, Kentucky to Langley, British Columbia. And there was like 3 stops on it. No, there was 2 stops on it. There was one going to somewhere in, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was 2 stops on it. Now the second stop going to Langley, British Columbia, had to go through a lot of mountains and everything, and those mountains up there in Canada, they're no joke. I mean, they weren't too bad. It's just that I don't think my truck really pulls that good anyways, and I must have been pulling the mountain for, it seemed like I was going up this mountain for like 30 minutes. When I got to the top of it, there was a couple of truck drivers or drivers who had jackknife, one on one side, one on the east mountain side, and one on the west mountain side. And I was noticing, I'm driving along, and people were just like speeding past me. I was like, what the heck? How are they driving like that? I mean, at the bottom of the mountain, the weather was like 50 degrees, 60 degrees. Got to the top of the mountain, I don't know what the weather was like, but it was snowing, So it was like, go up there, it's snowing, come back down. So that was pretty interesting. And a lot of that was like nighttime, very remote areas out there in Canada. It's not like here in the United States where, city to city, I mean, you can see some things. It was just like totally dark, for like however long. So that was a bit crazy. Not as many places to stop at either. But it was a very adventurous and fun run. Let's see here. So, yeah, so that load was paying $7,762.54. The book miles on it was $2,647. So I got paid $2.93 per mile on that load. The advance on it was a possible $3,881.27. I took out $2,400. I normally take out a little more than I have to, because one of the things I do is I include the deadhead. So I actually drove almost 1,000 miles to get this load, because I dropped off. Prior to that, I just did a Canada load, Greenville, North Carolina to Chambly, Quebec, and for some reason I did the math wrong. I thought my last stop in Quebec was going to only have me 600 miles from Berea, Kentucky, but it ended up being 1,000 miles. But even after that 1,000 miles, it was still profitable. Wish I would have planned a little better. I would have tried to find something connecting me, get me closer to Berea, Kentucky, even if it wasn't paying that much. You guys have heard me talk about that before. But that wasn't the case. So I did hit 1,000 miles to get this load, yeah. So then I included that into what I took for an advance. Let's see. So yeah, like I said, I took $2,400 out for the advance. Ended up getting $75. What was that? Okay, that was driver assist. I ended up getting an additional $75 on the load for driver assist. Let's see here. So my settlement ended up being $54.37 for that week. Actually, no, that's not true, because actually That's what it would have been after the vans, but after trailer rental fee and all that good stuff, ended up being like $5,200. Yeah, it's like $5,200. So after the deadhead, I still made $2.03 per mile. So that was really awesome. So yeah, so definitely get in on those kind of loads. I mean, I'm gonna tell you to get on it. If you don't, hey, that's fine by me. It just means more for me. But they're really good. A lot of them are really good paying loads. You do have to do the math to figure out, you know, if you have to deadhead back out, it's going to be worth it, because this load actually ended me up in Seattle, Washington. Once I was done, I crossed back over to the border, went to Seattle, Washington, and I picked something up in, I think, Kent, Washington. It wasn't paying very much, but it got me back to, you know, good freight in the Midwest, whatever. So yeah, so something to keep in mind. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers. Remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Hard times don't last, hard truckers do. And last but not least, stay smooth, my friends.